Hey everybody, JC here, and welcome to another live stream edition Thursday night. Welcome everybody. It looks like we got a pretty full house here tonight, so let's just do a quick roll call. Uncarded Reviews is in the house. What's up, my man? DJ is in the house. Henry G. Everett is definitely in the house. Lord Venger is here. Paul Morales, good to see you. Thousand Wolves. Whichever one floats your boat or tickles your pickle. Okay, I'm not sure what that's about, but it sounds good to me. Let's see, who else is here? DC Multiverse Collector, what's up? Michael's in the house. Rashid's in the house. CM Brock's in the house. Jason, Julio. Cool, so we got a pretty full house. I thought I got just in today. I got the newest, well, most. I haven't gotten the Crimson Bat yet, but I got the other GI Joe classified figure. So I thought I'd open them up here for the first time. I haven't seen these figures because, of course, they're in this windowless packaging, and I haven't opened them yet. So I'll get my first in-hand look at these three: CoverGirl, uh, Outback, and Falcon, regular Outback that is, and Falcon. And then also, I got my hands on this Masterverse Manny Faces. This is one that I've been looking forward to getting. This Manny Faces looks pretty cool, so I thought we'd open that one up as well. Mr. Allmine can't stay on, man. That sucks. But thanks for stopping in and saying hi. Hope you have a good evening, good weekend. Paul says Falcon first. Wants me to open Falcon first. Yeah. Will he suck? I don't know. Polar Bear Frosty Paul says windowless in retail makes me so nervous. Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. I got these all from online, but you never know what you're gonna get when you start buying these figures at retail. Of course, let's be honest. How often do we actually see GI Joe classified figures in retail? They become fairly easy to get online, but they still are not that readily available, at least not around me, at big box stores. A few things. I mean, you see a few things here and there, but so I am going to open up Falcon first, so we'll see how the face sculpt comes out. So I like how the GI Joe stuff comes in these little boxes as opposed to just taped on the side in tissue paper. I'm not a huge, I know we don't like the windowless packaging, but I'm also not a huge fan of the tissue paper. Though again, with the GI Joe, they at least decorate it and give you some Cobra symbols and stuff. Most of the other figures is just plain old tissue paper. So we got his backpack, and I'll pop this over at the review station here so you can get a better look here in just a second. His shotgun, his beret, and a knife. Uh, yeah, definitely not the greatest head sculpt. The lips do look, fairly red, so it does have that kind of looks like he's wearing lipstick look to him. It's not as bad as in those first pictures I saw of him online, but definitely. So, flip over to the review station. Zoom in a little bit there. But yeah, definitely that is not a pretty face. I mean, it's like he's got really bushy looking eyebrows. He's got a really long mouth, which is painted somewhat red. He's got a bunch of lines on his face, so he looks kind of old. So, I don't know. I mean, Falcon was never really a favorite character of mine anyway, but definitely this is one of the worst head sculpts I think I've seen in the GI Joe classified line. We'll stick his beret on. That helps a little bit, I think. I think he looks better with the beret on. I feel like they were like trying to go for like this John Wayne type look for him or something. I don't know, like with the really square jaw, but it really just didn't turn out too well here. So pop his backpack, and he's got a place for his knife back here. So I'll slide in there. He's got the antenna piece, which is reminiscent of the original figure, but it definitely sticks out kind of high on him. And then he's got his shotgun. And he doesn't seem to want to stand very well. Like the backpack's very heavy, so he has this tendency to kind of fall backwards. Uh, oh, oh, there he goes. Yeah, he doesn't want to stand very well on his own 2 feet. He's got his little scarf here. I mean, the rest of the figure doesn't look too bad. The skin tone is a little bit on the pinkish red side, but definitely one of my least favorite face sculpts in this line. Yeah, I just cannot get him to stand. There we go. Oh, oh, there he went. So, I guess if I'm being completely honest, I mean it's not like horrible, but you know, if I had to give this one a rating, yeah, I guess I have to give it a thumbs down. Um, you know, I mean, one or two bad figures in entire lines not a big deal, but definitely that one misses the mark a bit. Thousand Wolves says swap his head. What with like somebody like Flint? Looking to make Marvel Comics Nam figures. Corn Viper says looks like a Ken doll. Sam Brock says no way did someone say, "Oh, he looks so good." Yeah, I don't know. What's up, RC? Mr. Cheeseburger. Can Hasbro get out of the Marvel Legends and Black Series licensing deals? I would love to see them focus on. I I doubt it, especially this far into it, but I also doubt they would want to. You know, as much as I love GI Joe and Mask, Mask and Visionaries, I'm sure have their followings. You know, Marvel and Star Wars are still much more popular licenses that Hasbro's going to sell a hell of a lot more figures of than Mask and Visionaries. So, I mean, I think Hasbro's a big enough company that if they wanted to do those go on and make figures for those properties, they could. But they're not going to give up a lucrative license like Marvel and Star Wars so that they can do Mask. What's up, Jerry? Yeah, I mean that's kind of my feeling. For a classified figure, this is definitely at the bottom of my favorites. But it's still passable. It's still he'll go in the back of the shelf. But I've seen worse figures and such. So the standard, in my opinion, for classifieds is pretty high. So this one definitely doesn't meet the top standards. But like I said, you're not going to have 100% a great figure every time. You're going to be off a little bit. But I am curious. Like when they made this figure, when they sculpted this face sculpt, was this like, and they looked at it, I mean, is this what it looked like? And then it's sent off to the factory and like the paint, I mean, sometimes the paint can be, can throw things off. A sculpt can look really good and then it gets a bad paint job. And I mean, these red lips don't help this figure. And the eyes seem a little bit off, and I can see that being more of the paint than the actual sculpt. So, yeah, I don't know. Why haven't they brought back hologram stickers like on the Visionary figures? Well, they probably would need to bring back the Visionary figures before they brought the holograms for them. But I don't know. Yeah, the Marvel Legend Kang figure, that does look pretty good. John Lynn's. See, I'm thinking Flint's head would probably look decent on him. Salome has arrived, so I gotta watch the accessories, make sure she doesn't steal them. Let me let me go grab the Flint figure and we'll see if the head swaps. So I'm thinking Flint might make a good, if you wanted to, if you don't mind having two figures with the same head on your shelf. Uh, the hole on the Flint head is a little bigger than the ball on the figure, so you probably have to put some putty in there. But I don't know. Here, let me and I'll even let me switch. We'll put Falcon's beret on Flint, and we'll see how that looks. Sorry, Salome's trying to steal Falcon's accessories here. So yeah, I think that looks pretty good. You might want to touch up, if you got the paint or what have you, you might want to see if you can remove the scar that they gave Flint. But I feel like that makes a pretty decent stand-in head sculpt. Now, again, it doesn't fit super tight on there, so you'd have to fill that hole up a little bit with something, some putty or something, but you could probably make that work if you wanted to. What's up, Maxine? Oh snap, welcome to the live stream, everybody. We're just looking at some new G.I. Joe classifieds. Threem says, just kill off Falcon and use the body for something else. Well, I mean, like I said, Falcon's not a favorite character of mine. Definitely, there were other characters I would have rather had seen Hasbro do before Falcon, but, you know. I'm sure Falcon has his following of fans out there that were happy when Hasbro announced that he was coming in figure form. All right, so this is the one I've been waiting for the most in this wave, the CoverGirl figure. The artwork, I don't know. She seems like a little girl on the artwork. I mean, I know it's a style, and, you know, no disrespect to the artist. I mean, definitely can draw better than I can, but I feel like, I don't know, it's not a good representation of CoverGirl because it looks like a girl in the art here, but as opposed to a woman. So CoverGirl, I think, like, I wasn't super, like, when I had seen some initial in-hand images of CoverGirl like a few months ago, I wasn't super happy with her, but I actually think this actually looks pretty good here. Let me pull out her accessories first. Sean, I got these G.I. Joe figures I got from CMD store, which is actually a Canadian retailer. So I got a little impatient and wanted to go on and get them because they're already out in Canada. But yeah, if you do that, you will end up paying a little bit more, which I don't necessarily recommend. I suspect online retailers like Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth will probably be getting these in fairly soon. And I dropped one of the accessories. I'm not even sure what it is I dropped. I don't see where it dropped to. Don't you hate when you drop something on the floor and it like just disappears? I think I dropped her little pad. Oh, I see it. I see it. Of course, it dropped under the desk where I can't reach it. All right, so I'm gonna switch over. I hate when they make these things separate pieces, these like holsters and leg straps and stuff, because then they always end up sliding down the leg. But I think that head sculpt comes out pretty good. She's got the red lipstick. She's supposed to have red lipstick, so it makes sense with her. Not with Falcon, but with her, it looks pretty good. Looks like she's got some eyeliner on. So it's actually some nice little detailing. She's got the short hair, the brown hair. I always feel like some people, I kind of liked her better as a blonde, but I don't know. So she's got the pistol. She's got the little iPad. See if I can. So it's little diagrams of her Wolverine, which we'll probably never see in the classified line. Yeah, maybe we will, but I doubt it. Slide that in there. Gave her wrench. So I guess she can repair her Wolverine that we will never get in the classified line, probably. And then we get another shotgun type weapon. Oops. So, there we go. I think she came out looking pretty good. I don't really like the shotgun thing though. I think my biggest complaint is that they made these the holster and this iPad holder thing separate pieces, so they have a tendency to slide down her leg. But otherwise, I think she came out looking pretty good. And she's got her shirt unbuttoned a little bit low there, showing off a teeny bit of cleavage. I'm not sure what that red symbol on her jacket is supposed to be. I think maybe a Wolverine, the actual animal. Got a little bit of fur lining on her coat. So. Got the shin guards. So overall, I like this one. I like this one is definitely a pretty solid figure. Makes me wish that we did have a classified Wolverine, but I feel like that is not going to be high on Hasbro's priority list. I don't know. Having difficulty getting these guys to stand tonight, though. All right, there we go. So, CoverGirl, I give a thumbs up. Ian Brock says she looks younger, like a younger version of Joan Rivers. Yeah, she does have that kind of. Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying there with that kind of Joan Rivers expression, but I still think she looks pretty good overall. Maybe she put on too much eyeliner. I don't know. What's up, Captain Barry? Power Turtle figures. Hasbro makes what people don't ask for. I'm not sure if that's in reference to CoverGirl, but I definitely wanted CoverGirl. I always feel like CoverGirl gets kind of slanted in GI Joe. Like we always get Scarlet, we always get Lady J, but I feel like CoverGirl was like one of the original Joes, and she doesn't get enough attention. So I was very happy when they announced CoverGirl was coming to the classified line. Sean says Joan Rivers was attractive 60 years ago. Jerry says long face. Spaceman. Yeah, she did like in those live action movies. She really wasn't heavily featured. Like she was in the first miniseries. She had some decent time in the first miniseries, and then she appeared in the second miniseries a little bit, but she really just kind of dropped off. You really didn't see much of her throughout most of the regular episodes of the cartoon. Power. Uh, I mean, we've got a lot of Sabretooths. I mean, I know what you're saying. People want a bigger buck on Sabretooth, but I think Hasbro will do it eventually. But I mean, the last Sabretooth they did is actually comic accurate for some of his earlier appearances. So I don't know. I got the Toys R Us Sabretooth, and I was pretty happy with that one. But ooh, John, that's not a bad idea. My Emma Frost is upstairs, so I don't have her down here, so I can't test that theory out to see if that would work. But I'll see if I'm gonna probably do a full on in depth review of the 3 classified figures this weekend, probably as one review. So I'll test that out and see if that works. Sean, fingers crossed the Outback doesn't have janky face paint. I saw some wonky eyes. HoloNet. Sabretooth needs the Omega Red Buck. Yeah, and say I really feel like at some point in the future we'll get another Sabretooth on a bigger buck. In fact, I almost feel like Hasbro said as such. And like I wouldn't be surprised if we get another Sabretooth before we get characters like Wolfsbane and Feral or characters like that, which will we ever get Micronaut? Who knows? Never say never, but certainly nothing I've heard of anytime soon. I guess we kind of got Micronauts a little bit in the Ant-Man movie, but that might be as close as we get anytime soon. Jerry says Marvel Legend head sculpts have bigger holes on than the GI Joe neck pegs. All right, well let's go for figure number 3, Outback. Now from the images I've seen of people posting online, I thought this Outback had a lot better looking face sculpt than the Tiger Force one. Yeah, I think it came out looking pretty good here. All right, so let's pop him over to the review studio. So, oh, yeah, I think that looks pretty good. He's got he's got pretty dark skin tone. Like I guess he's been out in the sun, has a good tan, and he's got a nice wash in the hair. Very blue eyes. But overall, I'd say that looks like a pretty good head sculpt to me. So for his accessories, he has this really big backpack. I'll slip this on the back here. Try and line it up with web gear. You don't really need to line it up on this one, I don't think. He actually has pretty good balance. He stands a lot better than the other two. He's got this night scoop and a shovel. And then his weapon. So you can attach shovel to his back. You can put his night scoop. Oh, and he also has a pistol. They give you a peg on this side too, so I guess you can put the shovel on either side, but like I feel like if you didn't want him to hold his gun, you just strap it, put it around his. So Outback, I give a thumbs up. I think they did a pretty good job on that one. Hey, what's up, Sean? Is it the same head as the Tiger Force one? Hold on a second. So I've not actually opened my Tiger Force one because it just arrived not too long ago from Target, and I knew this one was coming out soon. And this is the regular one's the one I'm going to display on my shelf. But so yes, it is the same head sculpt, different paint, but you know he's got the gray beard and hair, different colored bandana, but it is the same head sculpt. People wear pants. The shovel doesn't fold. Worst figure. Power team. The Joe team be killing it, which makes no sense to why they does that team. I agree with you. The Joe team has been killing it overall. Yeah, I don't know why they made the Tiger Force one look so old. Like I guess they felt like by the time he joined Tiger Force, it was years later or something. I don't know. But I definitely like the head sculpt. Now I will say, I guess probably why is because he's got the red hair. The orange shirt is probably, they've maybe felt like would clash a little bit with his red hair, so they maybe felt like the gray white hair looked better with the orange shirt. It's the only thing I can think of. Oh, fire! Yeah, the one guy got, as far as I know of, one person from the GI Joe team designing team got fired or laid off. But that we know of, that we've heard of, I'm sure. I mean, they laid off 15% of their workforce, so I'm sure more than that got laid off. But I know the lady from the Power Rangers team that was in the live streams. I saw she had gotten laid off too. And I believe the guy from the GI Joe team also worked on Power Rangers. I might be wrong on that, but I think he might have worked on Power Rangers too. So it almost seems like the Power Rangers team got hit the worst. I'll do before we get to Manny faces, I'll give you a look at all three together. Oh, I guess Outback should have a knife, but I don't know what oh, here it is. Yes, Outback does have a knife. I got to put Falcon's head back on. All right, so here's your Sean. Thanks for the chat donation, my friend. I think Outback and Hawk are the only two characters that aged during the line. Well, Hawk started out fairly old. I mean, he was a general, so that makes sense. All right, so definitely thumbs up on Outback, thumbs up on CoverGirl, thumbs down on Falcon. So 2 out of 3, I guess, ain't too bad. Henry, man, you missed a whole lot. No, I'm just kidding. You didn't miss a whole lot. Henry, I got these from CMD Store, which is a Canadian retailer. So if you go that route, they'll cost you a little bit more. I probably would. I lost. I'm not a patient man, so I didn't feel like waiting. But I would imagine that can the Canadian retailers have started to get this wave in. I suspect those in the U.S. will fairly soon. I didn't get the Crimson Bat, so when that one comes in at like Big Bad Toy Store, I'll probably get it there. I'll probably get 2 of those, but I did not get the Crimson Bat yet. But I got these from CMD Store, which does have them in stock. Like I said, they've started hitting over in Canada already. John says Falcon will star in the remake of the '80s movie Mask. I feel like I forget what the name of that movie was. It's an animated movie uh, where there's a character in the animated movie that looks very similar to this face sculpt. I've seen some people do memes of it and stuff too, but I forget what the movie was called. But yeah, if they ever do a Jinx figure, she's not gonna be too happy when she sees Falcon. Corn Viper says can never have enough bats. We need a Christmas theme one. Don't give Hasbro any ideas. I can see it now. Christmas themed GI Joe figures. I'm glad to hear you haven't gotten laid off, Jerry. We if you came in late, we put Flint's head on there. I think Flint. I think if you wanted a better head sculpt, I think the Flint figure has real potential. Like I said, you might want to get rid of the scar on his eye, and you'll have to put some filler in the hole on his head because the peg on the Falcon figure is a little bit smaller. But I feel like the Flint head sculpt would make a good stand-in if you really want to get something better on that Falcon body. All right. So last figure of the evening, the new Masterverse Manny Faces. So this one I got off of Amazon. And this one I've been this is one of the more eagerly anticipated Masterverse figures that I've been waiting for. There's little instructions on how to change his head inside the box. Like inside there, they show you how to change his head, which looks like you use his gun. Just kind of funny. Oh, look at all this plastic. And tell them to give a crap about our environment, those scumbags. I'm just kidding. All right, so I'm gonna throw Manny over onto the review station. So here's this big giant orange gun. Looks like he's got a plunger on the end of it, but I mean, you don't need to do this, but they basically build this as a feature using the gun to turn his head. Of course, you can just actually use your hand to turn it, which is my guess how most people will do it. It's a little tight, so maybe the gun does make it easier. There's his robot face, his normal face, and then his monster face. So besides the big orange gun, you also get this case of masks because Manny faces as an actor or a thespian. These are not removable though. So, oh wait, yeah they are. Okay, I take that back. However, what I don't know is can you actually well, that's interesting. You can pop that off. And you can pop off one of the three faces, the standard faces, and then you can put on the three other faces. So that's actually cool. So you actually get more face choices than you did on like the original figure and stuff. So that's like a nice improvement. So you get the skull face, and then I don't know, alien robot face. I don't know. And then this kind of looks like Keldor. It almost looks like a Keldor type face. And you can close the case, and then it's like you can wear it as a backpack. So it's got a handle, so you can carry it around like a briefcase or such, but it also plugs into his back. So that's cool. And then he gets an extra pair of hands. So he gets a pair of grip hands and a pair of closed-fisted hands. But if you want him to hold the big giant orange gun, oops, my light around. But there you go. So I give Manny Faces a big thumbs up. I think Mattel did a pretty cool job on that one. I mean, if you're a fan of the original Manny Faces, he was always one of my, I don't know why, but Manny Faces was always one of my favorite characters. So I always thought it was a cool figure. I guess with the face changes and stuff, it was just kind of a really cool gimmick. So I definitely give Mattel a thumbs up on their Manny Faces. Jerry says, yeah, he can unclog his toilet. I don't know. Does Castle Grayskull have a bathroom? Have we ever seen a bathroom in Castle Grayskull? Does Castle Grayskull have indoor plumbing? I don't know. RoboGeek says, very nice looking Manny faces. All right, well, that's it for figures to look at tonight. 3 out of the 4 figures I give thumbs up. Yeah, that Falcon. I mean, like I said, the Falcon is probably the worst looking head sculpt of the GI Joe classified line. I think I might be willing to make that call. The Falcon, to date at least, has the ugliest looking face sculpt of any of the figures in the line. I wasn't super thrilled with the Stalker figure. I felt like Stalker looked a little too old, but definitely I think Falcon is possibly the worst one in the classified line. But you know, like I said, the bar is high on GI Joe classified, so we'll forgive Hasbro for, you know, not having the screw up on this one. I won't even call it a screw up, but not doing as stellar a job on Falcon as they've done with most of the other figures in the line. Henry G. Yeah, I agree. Masterverse, I behind GI Joe Classified, Masterverse is probably right up there as one of my favorite action figure lines these days. Um, so I'm there with you. Hey Blake, what's up? Been watching while working. Yes, the throne in the is the toilet in Castle Grayskull. Like they probably don't even have toilet paper. It's all done magically. Well, the first Gung Ho, I agree with you, but Hasbro made up for it with the retro collection Gung Ho figure, so I feel like they kind of made up for that one. But yeah, that original Gung Ho head sculpt was definitely right up there with Falcon. Michael, I have no idea when we're gonna see the next season of Revelation or Revolution. I forget. It's not even called Revelation this time around, but it's been kind of quiet on that front. So hopefully, you know, we'll hear something soon from Mattel. I mean, I feel like it's kind of like when Netflix ever decides to put it up, and I don't feel like Mattel necessarily has much say in that, but hopefully we'll hear something soon. And you know, we don't know whether we're going to get another season of the CGI series. I feel like we will, but we don't know that for sure. Mr. Cheeseburger. I want to see Scrap Iron too. I mean, the renders that they put out earlier in the month looked really good. So yeah, Revolution. Now Revelation becomes Revolution. Yep. But no, I've not heard anything recently as far as like when we might see it air on Netflix. John Brooks, what's up? Good morning from the Philippines. So I guess it's Friday there. CM Brock says it's kind of wild to me that Big Bad Toy Store shipped their Thunder Tank vehicles, but Entertainment Earth shipped theirs as well. But I'll tell you what, man, that's how it should be. If a manufacturer is going to sell something directly to the consumer and compete with the likes of a Big Bad Toy Store, the small retailer businesses, then they should make sure that all their retail customers have the product in hand before they start shipping it out directly. That's just, to me, that's how it should be. Because to me, a manufacturer should be making the toys, the retailer should be selling the toys. When you start blurring those lines and the manufacturer starts competing with its own customers, the retailer, I just don't think it works too well. I mean, it's become all too common, but I feel like, like for instance, McFarlane Toys with those Dark Knight trilogy figures. If you bought that wave from the McFarlane store, they literally started shipping out the next day. And people have already gotten that wave in hand. Whereas like all the retailers have like April release dates for that wave. I mean, so to me it's just crazy, you know, that's happening. But Mr. Cheeseburger, please no Revolution. I like Revelation, so I'm looking forward to the next season. I like the CGI series too, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that that gets another season as well. Yep, I think I don't remember Mossman. I think King Hiss like popped up for 2 seconds or something in a flashback scene, but yes, it seemed like Mattel started making figures for the next season. So, but again, it's probably more of a Netflix call than a Mattel call. So, um, yeah, it's really whether Netflix decides they want to renew it and and do another season. So it's been, almost a week now. Well, it's actually been a whole week since Ant-Man came out. So I feel like it's okay. We can start talking about Ant-Man spoilers. Did How many of you guys went and saw the Ant-Man movie last weekend or this week or what have you? I thought it was pretty good. It ended up being a lot better than I was expecting it to be. There were definitely some corny parts of it, but I feel like the parts with Modoc were a little bit silly, but overall I gave it a thumbs up. And more importantly, I'm excited to see what happens next with Kang, When are we going to see him next? I'm assuming it's probably going to be the season 2 of Loki, but, will there be anything in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 movie that kind of teases Kang or anything like that? I don't know. CM Brock says, I don't understand why people. Yeah, I mean, the initial reviews did not paint a good picture for the movie. So, and I had not been, like, from the trailers, I was like, I mean, there wasn't like anything bad in the trailers, but there wasn't anything that really got me excited either. But I definitely, I feel like, this is the beginning of phase 5, and I feel like this was a step in the right direction because I really felt, after coming off of phase 4, I just I've not been feeling the excitement for MCU movies that I once did. So I'm hoping as we go along in phase 5 that's going to change. Mr. Cheeseburger, how can the Thunder Tank cost $450, come with no figures and no working treads, but the Hell charger with 5 figures, working wheels, and 2 modes and LED lights with lights be over. Uh, that's a good question, Mr. Cheeseburger. I'm going to say that it was less about price. Well, a couple things. First of all, the Thunder Tank wasn't a crowdsource item. It just Super 7 did it, so it wasn't like it needed a minimum number of orders to really go forward. So that's a little bit different there. And we don't know how many overall. We don't know how many tanks Super 7 produced. So that's we're not necessarily comparing apples to apples when comparing the HasLab to the Thunder Tank. Uh, I I feel for me personally, as far as just looking at the two products side by side, I feel like you definitely got more for your money with the Hasbro HasLab than you did with the Thunder Tank. That being said, for me personally, and I can only speak for myself, I wasn't personally that interested in the Robbie Reyes and Hell Charger, whereas I very much wanted a Thunder Tank. So that's why I got the Thunder Tank, but even if it had gotten backed, I was not getting the Hell Charger. It wasn't about to me. It wasn't about, oh well, this just isn't worth the money, and therefore I'm not going to pay for it. In fact, with the Thunder Tank, do I really think it's worth $450? Probably not. Just like, do I think Snarf is worth $55 or Wily Kit's worth $55? No, but thankfully I already have Wiley Kit, so I don't have to pay $55 for her. But like, I got the Snarf because I want to round out my Snarf team. So I don't really look at it, as, is this really worth this much money? I look at it as something, is it something I really want? And therefore I'm willing to pay the money. And when it came to the Hell Charger, for me, it wasn't. When it came to the Thunder Tank, even I was a little bit on the fence with the Thunder Tank. We had a lot of discussions here about whether I was going to get the Thunder Tank or not, and I finally ended up getting it. But I was kind of on the fence on the Thunder Tank too. But I definitely, between those two vehicles, I personally wanted the Thunder Tank more than I did the Hell Charger. So that's, to me, it's, while that's what people will bitch and complain about online, is the price always. To me, it's really comes down to more that there just wasn't as much demand for something like a Robbie Reyes Hell Charger as there was with, say, like a Thunder Tank. Now, again, it's possible that even though Hasbro's HasLab didn't meet its minimum number, the number that it reached before it started dropping might have been more than what Super 7 produced for their Thunder Tank or sold. So, we don't know how many that Super 7 made of the Thunder Tank. So we don't know, what kind of numbers they saw as far as sales and such. But to me, it's less about price. I'm not saying every single collector has unlimited money supply, but I feel like when it's something people really want, they'll find a way to pay for it, even if it is overpriced. And I'm not saying that toy companies don't sometimes take advantage of that, because I think they do. I think Super 7 selling the Snarf figure is very much taking advantage of that. I think Brian Flynn knew perfectly well that a lot of people would be willing to pay $55 for Snarf, even if they didn't really think it was worth $55, just because they wanted to complete their Thundercats team. So, you know, again, is that figure really worth $55? No, I don't really think so. But I'm gonna buy it anyway, and I feel like how this, that's how this hobby is people get what they want, and if it's something they really want, they'll pay for it. They may bitch about it, a lot. That's the other thing you got to realize about people online, is they'll bitch and complain and say the sky is falling until, if you go on Facebook groups and stuff, but then they're out there still buying the stuff. you know we all bitched about that $30 Spider-Man figure, the PlayStation Spider-Man figure a few weeks ago that Hasbro did. I checked with some retailers, and they said that figure sold very well. So as much as people complained about that figure, there were still plenty of people out there buying it. So, you know, the squeaky wheel normally gets all the attention, but you have to realize that those people might be loud, but they're not necessarily the majority of the how the people feel in this hobby. HoloNet. Why did Who lose the Silverhawks license? Well, keep in mind if Super 7 bought they owned that property. So they own that IP, Silverhawks. So if they don't I don't know where you guys are getting that. I haven't heard anything of that. But if they if they no longer have that IP, it means they sold it to somebody else. And maybe it wasn't making enough money for them. Maybe, it sounded like they had all these plans that they were going to make a new cartoon and all this stuff. And maybe that stuff all fell through. So they ended up, dumping the license. But it's, with Super 7 and Silverhawks, it wasn't like they had licensed it from another person or company to make figures. They own that IP. They bought that IP, just like Hasbro bought Power Rangers. Um, but yet, but they don't own Marvel, even though they make Marvel figures. They don't own Marvel. So with Super 7, they own Silverhawks. So like I said, if they no longer have Silverhawks, it means they sold it off to somebody. And if they sold it off to somebody, then it's probably because it wasn't making enough money for them, and they decided it wasn't a good investment. Now Raymond Toys had a license, so they went to Super 7. One of the few action figure lines that they do where they actually got the license. They went to Super 7 and they got they paid Super 7 to be able to make those Silverhawk figures. So it's possible either that license expired or Super 7 discontinued it or what have you. But that's certainly possible. Chris Allen says Super 7 did not lose the license. There will be a way for. I mean, again, I don't know where people are even getting that, but that sounds probably more reasonable. And I mean, I'm not a big Silverhawks fan, so I didn't buy any of the Silverhawks figures and had no interest in them. It's just not a franchise I was interested in as a kid. But honestly, I felt like, and I don't know how they match up quality wise, but just based on the images I saw, I felt like the Raymond Toy Silverhawk figures looked a lot better than the Super 7 ones. If I was going to buy Silverhawk figures, I probably would have gotten the Raymond Toy ones over the Super 7 ones. Double D says Super 7 literally just, well, maybe you should tell us where did Super 7 say that, because they cert I mean, there's been nothing on their social media channels. I know like Brian Flynn goes around to all these various little YouTube channels and does interviews and stuff. So it sounds like maybe he said something during that, but you got to realize that when he does those interviews, those are only being seen by a very small number of people. So if somebody's trying to get information out about something, that's probably not the best way to do it, but I don't know. I don't know where people even got the idea that Super 7 lost the license, because that's not anything I had heard. But according to Double D, it's not true. Oh, that's Super 7 took all the Silverhawks off their website. Well, but doesn't I mean, don't they take everything off once they've closed? I mean, Super 7 only does on their own website only does limited pre-orders, like they do pre-order windows. So don't they take everything off their website once the pre-order window for it has closed out? I don't pay that close enough attention, but that sounds more like just that, they're not doing pre-orders for those older Silverhawk figures anymore, so therefore they're took them off their website. Jerry, we're not brutalizing you. We're just, I mean, you guys sometimes hear things I don't, so, you know. But I'm just saying, as far as Super 7 goes, with Silverhawks, they own that license. They bought it. They own the IP, not just the license to do toys, but they own anything Silverhawks related is owned by Super 7 now. So it's not the same thing as if like a company, if McFarlane lost the DC license, that's totally different than, Super 7 owning the Silverhawks license. But speaking of McFarlane, we saw those I imagine if you're a Turtle fan, you probably saw those leaked images of the Mutant Mayhem figures from Playmates Toys, which I saw look like Playmates started having them all removed from social media. Um, just a just a word of advice: if you have like an Instagram or a Twitter or something, and you come across product images that have leaked out of something that's movie related, you probably don't want to post them up on your social media because that will probably end up getting you some type of copyright ding. Um, so, like I said, just a little word of advice. But anyway, this week those Mutant Mayhem figures popped up online, and they were from Playmates Toys. And where I was going with this is, won't say 100%, but I feel like that almost definitely confirms that the rumors that McFarlane was doing turtle figures is not true. And it wasn't really a rumor. It was a distributor had mislabeled the company that was releasing the figures, I think, and they corrected that when they realized it. But at that point, the word had already started to spread about McFarlane doing turtles. I won't say 100%, but like if next week during McFarlane's winter showcase, if they have the turtle license in some way, they would probably, they might not show any figures, but they would at least announce that they had the license. So if there's nothing from the winter showcase about turtles, I think we can definitely put that rumor to bed that McFarlane is in fact not doing anything Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle wise. Salome has returned to try and steal accessories. Salome's butt, everybody. Corey, I didn't. I thought I thought the Splinter looked kind of lame. The Splinter figure looked more like a mouse. Looked like I thought it was like a biker mice, one of the biker mice from Mars figures. But I thought the others looked pretty good. The Fly Guy, strange name, but the Fly Guy figure looked pretty cool. But I didn't hate those turtle figures. I don't plan on buying them, but I didn't think they looked horrible in any way. HollowNet says, got the loose collector Lady Death, but his figures are cost twice as much as Valorverse. I mean, yeah, those small independent guys, those figures are always going to cost a lot. And while Valorverse isn't some huge company, I think he's big, a little bit bigger than Actor, but those guys make small production runs of figures, and which means they don't get any kind of discount at the factories like the big boys do. And so it costs them a lot more to make a figure than it does a larger company. Now, from the consumer end, $40, $50, $60 is still $60, you know. So, regardless of whether the prices are justified or not, we as the consumer are still having to pay the high prices. But I'm getting an error message on YouTube telling me that you guys might be experiencing buffering issues. So I'm not sure what's up with that, but Chris, I do not. It's possible we could maybe see some of those figures during the Holothon event, but I've not heard anything on when NECA is going to put up. I just got the first two of those D&D figures. They look great. Those the War Duke. But man, I was like, when I took that War Duke out of the figure or out of the package, I was like so afraid the thing was gonna break. Like the plastic pieces on his helmet are so brittle and thin, and like I got it when I was taking it out of the plastic thing, it got stuck on there. I was like, oh my god, it's gonna break. It didn't, thankfully, but I was really afraid it was gonna break. And then like I tried to put his sword in, and it got stuck, and I was like, I'm not even gonna try and pull it out because if I do it, it's gonna break. Bobby Vila says his figures come from the same factory as NECA and Boss Fight. Well, I mean, it's even possible they could come from the same factory as a Mattel or Hasbro, though probably not. Super Seven when they originally like took over Thundercats, they started using the same factory as Mattel, and that didn't work out too well. But the big difference is the amount of quantity. Usually, when Hasbro or Mattel make figures, they're making it in much larger quantities than those small guys are. So therefore they don't get the discount at the factory. But that's why when you see companies like a Hasbro start making more limited run stuff like the HasLabs, those are not actually being made in the same type of numbers as a general product because they're not making it for mass retail. So that's why you can see those prices go up as well, just because they're making that stuff in more limited numbers. As companies start catering to us, the adult collector, that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because when you compare our numbers, which have grown over the years, but when you compare those numbers to the numbers of like when kids are buying all the toys and stuff as well, they still are not as big. So when these companies start catering to us, the adult collector, it means they're making smaller production runs of stuff, which means the price is going to go up on top of things like inflation and stuff that we've been experiencing the past year or so all around. So that's kind of the catch 22. Super 7 uses really low grade plastic. Both my Cheetor figures' legs broke off. Well, and again, unfortunately, you see that more and more as companies are trying to keep their costs down as much as possible. You start seeing them use things like cheaper plastics and stuff. I mean, so I mean, it sucks, but that's where, when we bitch and complain about the prices, the most likely outcome is that companies are going to try and do things to cut their costs, which are like cheaper plastic and such. They're not going to lower the price. So, and I'm not saying that as a justification because when you get a figure, it shouldn't break on you. I'm just explaining to you why that happens a lot because I'm trying to explain to you the reasoning behind it. I'm not saying that as a justification. I'm just saying that's usually why that happens. I don't mind explaining stuff. I mean, that's what I'm pretty much here for. I don't think you guys tune in to me for my good looks and my winning personality. So, anyone have thoughts on the D&D gelatinous cube? I I've not has that even seen release? I've not seen anybody have it, so I actually don't have any thoughts on it. But somebody was just telling me, I think it was earlier today, that they wanted to get that. I don't know if you guys saw If you go over to TNI, there's a new D&D figure Hasbro just announced today, the Owlbear figure, which is the first deluxe figure in their 6-inch D&D line. So I'm not really familiar with the character other than it looks like a big giant owl, but it sounds like it's a pretty popular character in Dungeons and Dragons. So that one's going to cost, it's a deluxe figure, so it's going to cost, I think it was like $44 is what it was going to cost. Beneath your, well, I mean, NECA does great looking figures, but I always get very nervous whenever I handle a NECA figure. I mean, my I got the recent Defenders of the Earth Mandrake figure. Right out of the package, the head fell off my Mandrake. I had to glue it back on. So, NECA is very much notorious for having very delicate figures that, if you look at it wrong, can break. So, that's just something you need to know when you go in with a NECA figure, that, you have to handle it very delicately because it looks great, but they oftentimes very easily break. What's up, Kobo Cop? 3M. Speaking of those Hasbro D&D figures, they're barely moving at Target, and the G.I. Joe movie figures have seen longevity in stores in the worst possible way. So, my theory on those D&D figures, the only reason why you're seeing Hasbro do those D&D figures, any of them, is because of the movie. If that movie bombs, I think you're going to see them go the way of Ghostbusters, where you're not really going to see Hasbro do too many more of them. So, same thing with Indiana Jones. The only reason they're doing those Indiana Jones figures is because of the new movie. If that once that movie comes and goes, especially if that movie isn't received well, like the last one, then I don't think you're going to see Hasbro do a whole lot more with Indiana Jones after that movie comes out. Ghostbusters, same thing. The only reason why we're going to likely see some more Ghostbuster stuff is because there's another movie coming out. But but a lot of those lines that Hasbro does, they're doing them because they've got movies tied to them and they're trying to get product out to go along with the movie. But I have my doubts that Dungeons and Dragons movie is going to do well at the box office. And that's not even to say that it might not be a bad movie. I don't know, but I just feel like it's not going to do well at the box office. So, um, I don't feel like we're going to see a whole lot of Dungeons and Dragons action figures after that movie comes and goes. And yes, I've seen them. I've seen those figures at both my Walmart and Target, and they don't seem to be moving very well. Chris says he's had more issues with McFarlane. I haven't had a whole lot of issues with breakage from McFarlane, at least not like DC Multiverse and stuff. My biggest complaint with McFarlane is I don't like the diaper crotch that they've been using. I think it on a lot of the figures it ends up looking pretty bad. So I feel like they need to come up with a better crotch system for their figures. But then also, they're very limited as far as accessories go as well. Michael, I am definitely looking forward to that. Julio says no one cares about that. Well, I'm not sure how much crossover between like action figure collectors and D&D fans there are, but D&D definitely has a huge following. But the people who play the game, not necessarily people who collect action figures. I mean, definitely, I'm sure there's some crossover there, but it's one of those where there's a lot more people who are into the game than there are those people who actually collect action figures, I think. Jerry says the assembling of the Bane figures. I've heard the movie Bane also. I haven't gotten those, so I couldn't say. The Mega Bane figure, the comic book Mega Bane figure is a sweet figure, though. That's one of their better figures, I think. Don't forget, those Titan figures go up for pre-order tomorrow. We'll see if Amazon puts them out early tonight. Probably, yeah, if they put them out early, they'll probably go up around 8 p.m. Eastern time, sometime between 8 and midnight. But we'll see if they actually put them out early. But tomorrow is the official pre-order date for those Titan figures. Yeah, people wear yeah, definitely. Like I said, you've got to handle NECA figures. Like it's almost a given that you want to run a NECA figure, a hair dryer over a NECA figure, heat up the joints before you start moving it. And even still, you can find that a lot of them will break very easily. So it's an unfortunate thing. In a perfect world, I would say that should not be the case, but DJ says wasn't thrilled with the Titan figures. Yeah, I think a lot of people were hoping he went with more like classic looks. Todd seems to favor more modern looks than classic looks. I have a feeling it's because he feels like the classic looks have been done before. So 3M says the D&D. Well, that maybe, but even without the OGL thing, I'm not sure that D&D movie would do exceptionally well. Same, bro. I did not. I did not. I passed on the dimensional portal. I didn't really. I don't really have space for it. My turtle shelves are pretty full, and it was also. I was hoping it wasn't gonna. I was hoping it was gonna cost more, around $30, and it was over 40 plus $15 shipping. So, I mean, if I had a good place to put it and display it, I probably would have gotten it anyway. But because I didn't really have a good place to display it and the price, I decided to pass on that one. Well, that's possible too. It is possible that Warner Brothers makes suggestions to him. I mean, the license holder, it's definitely well within their purview to make suggestions like that. I mean, he'll say in an interview he can make whatever figures he wants, but there are definitely, some characters and versions of characters that I think the studio will push. Julia, do I think the next HasLab will be a Dragonfly? I do not. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's I don't. I feel like at least it was something Hasbro was probably looking at, but I don't necessarily think that they were dead set on doing a dragonfly. But I definitely feel like either if the people that spreaded those rumors and have said that it was coming are full of shit, then obviously it's not likely a dragonfly was coming. And if they're not full of shit and they're telling the truth, well, then for whatever reason, a dragonfly is not coming. But either way, it does not really look like we're going to be getting a dragonfly for the next HasLab. So I don't know what they're going to do. I feel like a dragonfly would have been cool. I would have definitely been interested in that, but for whatever reason, I don't think that's going to be the HasLab this year. I have no idea. I mean, it's listed on the Amazon websites and stuff, but when we'll actually see it, I don't know. Oh no, well, we don't know that for 100% sure. We really don't. That's what somebody had said, and I'm not saying they're lying, but I'm saying that's not 100% confirmed. So I wouldn't be going, oh yeah, 100% that would. And I mean, to me, if Hasbro was like, stuff leak out all the time. So if it was just a matter of something leaking, I don't think Hasbro would kill a project because it leaked. Now, how if we were going to accept that the HasLab Dragonfly was something that they were looking to do, how it leaked might have played a part in them canceling it. Meaning they may have decided they didn't want to work with the people that was doing the design work, if those people were actually doing the design work. And I'm not saying they weren't, I'm not saying they are, because I honestly don't know. But if they were, and they let it leak out like it did, Hasbro may have just decided these are not people we want to work with, so we're canceling this and we're going to go do something else. But just from the leak itself, like, oh my God, they found out we're doing a Dragonfly, scrap the whole thing. I find hard to believe, because again, stuff leaks out all the time, and I don't feel like they would cancel it just on that reason alone. But who knows? We can speculate until we're blue in the face, and to me, who cares? What we basically, as the consumers, can walk away with is it is not looking very likely that we're going to be getting a Dragonfly. Yeah, I'm not sure everybody wants a classified flag. I think everyone thinks a classified flag would look cool, but I also think many people would not have space or want to pay the price that would cost. So, I yeah, definitely not gonna. I don't think we're gonna see a classified flag or Terra drum. But I have no idea what they're gonna do. If a Dragonfly is off the table, again, the logical assumption would be, since we got Cobra vehicle last year, that they would do some kind of GI Joe vehicle this year. But I can't really think of a cool GI Joe vehicle that would be practical, but also HasLab worthy. Because smaller vehicles like the Trouble Bubble, they can get out at regular retail. The super large vehicles, even with HasLab, are probably not terribly practical. So then that leaves you with kind of the medium sized vehicles and stuff. So I don't know. Chris Allen. Well, it wasn't HasLab, but we got a pretty good Metroplex years ago. What, 5 6 years ago, maybe seven, something like that. But Hasbro's given us a pretty good Metroplex. I mean, not in scale with actual, not in true scale, but I don't think that's terribly feasible. Well, again, that's a Cobra vehicle, so there are plenty of Cobra vehicles I could think they could do. But I feel like I said, I feel like if they just do Cobra vehicles, then people are going to be like, where are the GI Joe vehicles? So I feel like, because we got a Cobra vehicle last year, that the most logical choice would be to do a GI Joe vehicle this year. HollowNet says Mobat. If they were gonna do a tank, I'd almost rather they did a Mauler tank than the Mobat. I always thought the Mauler tank was a cooler tank than the Mobat. The Mobat was a more traditional looking tank, but the Mauler I thought was a cooler tank. Well, yeah, everybody's gonna complain about the price. You're right, but the higher the price, the more you're gonna limit the people who are gonna be able to buy it. But I think when you start talking about things like a flag, really the bigger issue is space, not price. Um, I don't have any idea where the hell I would put a 6 inch scale flag. I don't even know where the hell I'd put a 3 3/4 inch scale flag. So as cool as I think it would be to see, I just it wouldn't be terribly practical for me. And I think a lot of people would feel the same way when you start talking about super large stuff like that. I never liked the bridge layer. No offense to Toll Booth, but I'd rather see a Wolverine than a bridge layer. In fact, I would actually like a. I wouldn't mind seeing a Wolverine, but I kind of doubt that they would do a Wolverine. I don't know. I guess they haven't done an actual Power Rangers HasLab. Maybe they don't feel like there's enough demand. I don't know. John Brooks, give us a mass Boulder Hill. Well, they actually have to start producing mass figures, I think, before something gets a HasLab. But Chris, I mean, again, Chris, they did a G1, a really cool G1 inspired Metroplex. Actually, I didn't get that one, but it was pretty cool looking. Horn Viper says Power Rangers is Hasbro's red-headed. Yeah, I don't. Power Rangers is so weird because they actually bought Power Rangers, but yet they seem. I agree with you. They seem to put very little effort into Power Rangers for some reason, and I don't know if it's because. I mean, I feel. I mean, they didn't buy Power Rangers for adult collectors. They bought it for the kids, I think. And the only thing I can think of is that it has not been received as well. Modern day Power Rangers has not been received as well by kids today than the older Power Rangers used to be. But I don't know. I've never liked Power Rangers that much, so I'm not an expert on Power Rangers. If you're talking about me, I mean, they did a Fort Max too, but they did Metroplex. I mean, it's been a while now because it was initially offered as there was a San Diego Comic Con exclusive version that had like metallic pieces and stuff, and then there was a regular. I mean, this was back before Toys R Us went out of business, so But they did a They did a G1 Metroplex. It was like their first really big transformer that they did. Um, and they've done others: Fort Max, Tripticon, Scorponox. They've done a lot of those big city guys since then, but Metroplex was actually the first one that they did. I mean, it goes for a pretty penny on the secondary market now, I think. So if you didn't get it when it originally came out, it probably would be pretty costly to get it now. But they did technically do a Metroplex, and they've got I think we're gonna see later this month a repaint, not necessarily an exact repaint, but a retool of the Omega Supreme as one of those Cybertronian Guardians. I think that figure is supposed to go up for pre-order next week. And that Omega Supreme, I love the Omega Supreme that they did. The last Omega Supreme that they did, that was a great figure. Jerry, I'm 100% with you there, man. That snarl looks great. And I just, you know, I just finally this week completed my my Stunticon Menasor. So I love this. I think Hasbro has done a great job with the. This is like the best combiner that they've done. It blows out the Combiner Wars one. Um, but I mean, all right. Well, it just fell. I was gonna say it stays together much better than the Combiner Wars one, but then it just fell apart on. But it is still it's put together much better than their previous combiners. I mean, like the Devastator that they did. If you look at that thing wrong, it falls apart. Oh, see, and that was actually my fault because I didn't. I don't think I had them clicked into place right. But hold on a sec. Salome is once again trying to steal. All right, so definitely see, I don't know if you can see it, but I don't think I have those pigs in quite right. Hmm. Oh, now I'm putting it in backwards. All right, so anyway, I love this. I hope they do. I hope they do like the aerial bots next with this kind of design. And I'd love to see the Combaticon. I'd love to see them redo the Combaticons. Predaking, my Predaking stays together pretty good. That Predaking is probably my favorite combiner overall. But I definitely like. Only thing I realize the legs like this are like cartoon accurate, where the cars are on the back. But I kind of wish they designed it so the cars face the front. You can turn the waist, but then the knee joints don't bend correctly, and he doesn't stand very well. But still overall, and this head sculpt, this Menasor head sculpt is so much better than the one they did for the Combiner Wars. So I just want to share my thoughts on that because I finally got the last Stunticon this week, and I was like, and I'd gotten these four Menasor, and I was just like, yeah, this I'm really digging this. I wouldn't mind Defensor either. I mean the Protectobots, but like basically because we've already got my favorite combiner character is probably the Combaticons and Bruticus. That was always my favorite one in the cartoon. But since we got Menasor, I feel like they got to do the Aerobots next. You know, Menasor's arch nemesis Superion. So I feel like they got to do the aerial, and I think there's even been rumored listings of them doing the Aerobots. So I feel like that's almost a given. But then I would love to see them do the Combaticons next. And of course, if they do the Combaticons, then they've got to do the Protectobots. So and then maybe like Computron Devastate. I wouldn't mind. I don't know if Devastator would work. I don't know if this kind of design would work for Devastator. Because essentially, instead of like the actual robots being the appendages, you have the appendages and then you just click on the robot pieces. So that's why they stay together much better, at least on the arms. The legs, I mean, same thing with the legs. Um, so that's really the big difference from the old design to the new one. And as far as, Devastator, I'm not sure how well that would work, but the Combiner Wars Devastator. I mean, I think that's a great looking figure. It really does not stay together. Like anytime I move it on the shelf, like one of the arms will fall off or something. So it does not stay together very well, but I think it looks good. It just doesn't hold together very well. Gunstar says they got to do the plane modes right. I did not like Breakdown's alternate modes at all. Yeah, I almost want to say that the Combiner War, like as individual stunting, well, this Menasor is awesome, but like as far as the others, I almost feel like as far as their individual looks, the Combiner Wars ones I might like a little bit more. I don't really remember Abominus that much. Predaking is, and the last Predaking they did, I think, is again a very awesome looking figure. All right, well, we're going on 2 hours here, so we're running kind of long tonight. So I think we're gonna call it a night. But as always, guys, I appreciate you guys joining me and listening to me ramble and look at my toys. Much appreciated. Should have a news video up tomorrow. Again, tomorrow Marvel Legend revealed tomorrow. Danion said, I don't know what it is. I think it's going to probably be some type of store exclusive. Totally guessing, but maybe Amazon. But some type of Marvel Legend revealed tomorrow. Titan pre-orders tomorrow for DC Multiverse, which might end up going on Amazon this evening. And then next week we've got the Marvel Legend live stream. So, but look for a news video tomorrow. This weekend I'm probably gonna do a more in-depth review of the G.I. Joe classified figures. So if you want to get better looks at those, check that out. As always, guys, stay safe out there, and until next time, I'll catch you later.
Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News message boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.